has made sure I'm very polite to Gambhir today after the last episode. No, actually, I'll be completely honest. I actually watched him on the Couple Show on my show yesterday. And I thought, right, I'm going to come on today and I want to kind of give him a fair crack. I've got my differences with him. They're all well documented. But look, we all need... Now we're on to the fourth test.
If I was Ben Stokes and his squad, with the exception of the one injury of Bashir, because of his finger injury, I wouldn't be scared. I was thinking, lads, we've got this. We never lost here. The conditions are, it's not as hot as it was kind of over the first 3 tests. So the weather's changing, the true English summer's kicking in with the rain.
Podcast out tomorrow between Ravi Ashwin and Harbhajan Singh, where Ravi Ashwin actually says that Washington Sundar was the player who put him into retirement. There's clearly a kind of moving forward.
While we're talking in England, I do want to shout out one of our viewers who kindly corrected us on YouTube. Joe Roots 34. I said in the last podcast, if he was 2 years younger, I think he will exceed Sachin's record of 51.
Welcome back to cricketing podcast of Two Halves, Two Innings. Today, we will be previewing the 4th test between England and India. And for you football fans, we'll be doing football podcast very soon. So stay tuned. Hence, we are Two Halves, Two Innings. So, welcome gents. How are you all?
Thank you.
Good. Guys, 4th test is coming up this week. It's starting on 23rd of July. And Ajay, you were in Birmingham last night. So how's the hangover?
How's the hangover indeed, yeah. I was taking more shots than Shubby Gills 269 there. But yeah.
Brilliant.
Head's a bit spinning at the moment, like Kuldeep Yadav, man. But honestly, it was a great night out, thank you. But yeah, no, we're looking forward to the 4th test. And you know what? Old Trafford, the India team have gone to see my favourite team, Manchester United. But I don't know what's happened in Carrington. There seems to be some injuries that have come out of India now. Arshdeep, Reddy might be out. Guys, what's going on here? You go to Man United and all of a sudden all the players have now can't play anymore.
Yeah, I saw the picture. Yeah, I saw that.
Man United, I think they're teaching the players how to earn big contracts while doing very little work. I think they've been speaking to Casemiro and Mason Mount.
They've been thinking...
You're starting off feisty today, boys.
They need to build a cricket ground in Liverpool, I think. That'll solve the problem.
There is one in Liverpool. A Lancashire player there.
Oh, do they? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So guys, if you know there is any cricket ground in Liverpool, please let us know in the comments. I don't know if there's any ground in Liverpool. Maybe we have to find out. Cool, guys.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there is. That's good. Good to hear. So guys, I saw the picture today. You guys posted it. That Indian team met Manchester United. They were at the training ground. And like I just said, injuries. What's happening? Amit, I want to start with you today. What's happening with the injuries? Heard about Arshdeep and Akash Deep as well. And unfortunately, Reddy, he's probably out for the whole series. So what's going on?
It's not looking good. I mean, we haven't fared well at Old Trafford, very similar to Edgbaston. I think in 9 tests we've got 0 wins. So as in India have got 0 wins. Again, I think obviously the playing conditions normally favour kind of seam bowlers, which England obviously had in the past. But this was one game where I think all of us were kind of crying out for Arshdeep to come in, especially with that left-right arm combination with Bumrah. But he's injured himself, I think, in the nets, and then I think Akash Deep has injured himself kind of in the gym. I think he pulled a back or a groin injury. There's conflicting stories on the internet, but it's a shame really, because it's a quite a critical game. There's a chance to kind of level the series, and if we don't win this game, then we've lost the series. So unless we get an inspiring performance like we did from the young guns in Australia, where they won that test match and ultimately the series a couple of years ago, it's not looking good.
Dheeraj, what do you think? How the injuries will impact the Indian cricket team?
I think they will have a big impact. I think, as Amit rightly pointed out, I think this is the game that we need to level the series. We want to go make sure the Oval is a decider. So having injuries a couple of days before the test starts isn't ideal, particularly when you're 2-1 down, and particularly when it's somebody that was going to come in. I mean, I was wearing my Punjab top, planned my outfits in advance, of course, and this was going to be the preview where we were going to talk about Arshdeep Singh and how his left arm swing bowling was going to be perfect for the rainy weather up north. Unfortunately, he's injured himself, and we've obviously had to call up Gambuj from obviously the Haryana and CSK pacer. So disappointing, and I think it's going to affect us. We're going to really need to kind of show our grit and determination now with them couple of injuries, with Reddy as well and Akash Deep looking unlikely to play. We're really going to be calling the bench strength to see what they're made of. But let's fingers crossed they've got enough in the tank to kind of support the team and get us over the line at Old Trafford.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at replacing someone with Arshdeep, and unfortunately, all three, two pacers and one all-rounder got injured. And Ajay, what are your thoughts on who should be in the team now?
Yeah, well, it's a bit of an interesting one now. Like, who do India go to? So obviously, there's shouts that obviously there's Anshul Kamboj will be coming in. So that could be an option there. And I was actually listening to Steve Harmison's actual podcast as well regarding the weather conditions in Old Trafford. So I think looking at the weather, it's going to be looking quite good from day 1 to 4, maybe potential rain on Sunday on day 5. So, and looking at the pitch and how it's kind of played out in Edgbaston and in Lords, it might be quite a flat pitch. There might be a bit of rough that develops later on come day 4, day 5. I actually think there might be a shout for even Kuldeep Yadav to come in as a spin attack. But then again, the problem is, do you risk having 3 spinners? You've got Sundaran, who's had a great game in the last test. Would you look at maybe taking him out? But again, that would be a very interesting call to make. I think you obviously have another pacer with Harshit Rana, but unfortunately he got released by Gambhir. So there's a lot to kind of decide. I think the batting side is obviously is a fine from 1 to 6. It's just the bowling. Now we've got Bumrah, Siraj, and obviously it looks like this Kamboj player will be coming in. So yeah, let's see what the pick is come Wednesday. But I think regardless of it, I think we've just got to go in with a good mentality. Don't worry too much about the injuries, and make sure that the team the starting 11 is as fit as possible and have a good mindset to win the game.
Yeah, indeed. Dheeraj, Harshit Rana, he was here with the Team India, and now they sent him back. And now because of injury, unfortunate injuries, obviously, no one can predict those. And rather than involving him again, calling him back again, we're calling Anshul Kamboj. So what do you think was happening here?
I think maybe it's probably unfair for them to probably call Harshit Rana back. It may be Kamboj was, there's been a lot of Indian cricket stars, as we know, who've been in the area. I don't know, he may have been, obviously, he was here for the India A tour, as we were discussing before we went on air. So maybe that will be one of the reasons why. Also, I mean, knowing Kamboj, watching him for Haryana and also watching him in the IPL for CSK, he's actually quite handy with the bat. Now, we've spoken at length on this podcast about how the tail hasn't wagged. He probably provides a little bit more than our other pacers with the bat, and that might be one thing. We know Gambhir, he likes multi-skill players. So for me, I think that's probably why he's got the edge, but it might also be just to give him an opportunity. It's probably a bit unfair on Rana in hindsight. They probably wish they kept him now, but they probably thought at that stage, we have so many paces, he's probably not going to get an opportunity. Instead of him being on, waiting in the wings here, it makes sense for him to go back home. So to be honest, I actually say I understand that decision. I think this is probably being made to try and get the best result at Manchester. So, I don't have any problems with it. I think if the management feel he's got something to offer with both bat and ball, it's probably a sensible decision to bring him up.
Mm. And Amit, as we know now, because 2 main fast bowlers are injured, Bumrah will definitely play. I know you were saying earlier that Bumrah should play. So if they already decided that he's only going to play 3 tests, and that's his 3rd test in this series, what are your thoughts then? Should Bumrah play this game, or they should rest him and play the final game?
I'll answer that question in a minute, but Dilo seems to be a lot more politer on the podcast now. We're recording about Hyderana and Gambhir sending him back than he was before we started recording. So I'll leave that out there in the
Our editor in chief has made sure I'm very polite to Gambhir today after the last episode. No, actually, I'll be completely honest. I actually watched him on the Couple Show, my show yesterday, and I thought, right, I'm going to come on today, and I want to kind of give him a fair crack. I've got my differences with him; they're all well documented. But look, we all need. Now we're on to the fourth test. We all need to be aligned, and we all need the fans, the players, staff all need to be on one. So I'm being very politically correct on the podcast today. When we do the review show, my opinions might change, but let's wait and see.
Well, following Manchester United visit to following India's visit to Manchester United today, there's a lot of memes going around that there's a picture of Ruben Amrin and Gordon Kearns, and the memes were both will be out of a job in a year. So it's going very well. But anyway, but back to your question, Rohit. I mean, he's got to play, and Bumrah's got to play, and and I think if India win this game and it's 2-2, then I'm sorry, he's got to play the final test. I don't care what you do, get the best massage of the world, ice bath, a travel ice bath or whatever you have to do. If anything, the four of us will go down and give him, massage his arms and legs if we have to. But he's got to play. It's such a when you consider the last time that we toured England, we got absolutely we lost the series, and the time before that as well, we got humiliated in 2018, I think. So, and Ajay, you mentioned Kuldeep Yadav, so I think that's again whether we can get the right balance or not. Maybe if there weren't so many injuries, that would be someone who would have probably took a gamble on. The reason being, I was at that game in 2018. I know it was only T20, but when he took 5-4 in that, he's the first. I think it might have been the first cricketer actually to take 5-4 in a T20 game, and India ended up winning that game back in July 2018. And if you've got time, I've got a funny anecdote about that game. If we've got time, but I won't mention it yet. Bumrah's got to play. It's worrying, I think, because if you're looking at the squad at the moment, is he going to call back on Shardul Thakur and Krishna? Now, again, it's very easy for us. We're not sportsmen to kind of be critical, but I'm sure they have their exceptional qualities and they bring value to the Indian cricket team. However, if I was Ben Stokes and his squad, with the exception of their one injury of Bashir. Because of his finger injury, I wouldn't be scared. I was thinking, lads, we've got this. We never lost here. The conditions are, it's not as hot as it was kind of over the first three tests. So the weather's changing. The true English summer's kicking in with the rain. So they've lost some people who've performed very well, or bigger names. We've got this. Let's wrap this up quickly. And Dheeraj, you mentioned about Anshul Kamboj. So. He's actually for IPL. He played 8 matches and he scored 8 runs. I think
he is handy with the bat.
So he got 8 wickets and his highest score was 5. Obviously, he didn't play in every single game.
Have you watched him for Haryana?
No, I haven't. I'm just going to
Haryana. Come back to me. Yeah, watch him for Haryana. Go through the archive.
Okay, and then
even for India, he scored 50. So he did all right there with the bat against.
Well, the Lions so far though, he's got 2. He's got 5 wickets over the 2 tests, and he scored 23, 2 and a 5 not out. So again, I appreciate. I don't know what his batting position is.
Yeah, no, out of the bowlers that we've got, I'm going to be honest, and you can when you watch Reddy in the last game. If you play cricket, you coach cricket, you watch it. You'll watch a bowler coming out to bat, and just by his stance and the way he looks, whether they're a capable batsman or not. Any cricket person will tell you that. And he can hold his own. And I think he's significantly better than the other options with the ball when it comes to batting. So I think that's why I think he's got the nod, because I don't think the tail's been wagging, as we all know. So I think there's a reason why they've probably gone to him instead of somebody else.
Well, the thing is, though, he's here anyways, and he's been touring, as I mentioned a second ago, he's touring with the India A versus the Lions. So hopefully he's got used to the conditions and the surfaces, etc. So that makes sense. But I mean, it's surprising though. We've got someone who has fared, I think, very well in English conditions. May not be in red ball cricket, but in white ball cricket. Shami. Why is he not being called up? Has he still got an injury? I think he was injured, but I think he is back from injury. So I'm sure he's playing in some of the, the state matches or whatever. So I don't know. Boys, have you got any more information you can shed light on that?
My view. I think, and it's clearly the coach's mantra, and absolutely fine. I'm still sticking to it. I'm not going to play that ball outside off stump. You keep dangling it there, and with I'm not going to go for it. I think the coach has clearly got a mantra and an ideology that we're going to move towards a new era in this World Test Championship cycle. And there's actually a podcast out tomorrow between Ravi Ashwin and Harbhajan Singh, where Ravi Ashwin actually says that Washington Sundar was the player who put him into retirement. There's clearly a kind of moving forward. We're not going to look at the old guard. We're going to look at moving forward. So as much as I'm I want to win here and now type of person, I would have preferred Shami to be here. His experience, and he's a fighter. 2-1 down. I wish he was here. I think obviously this is the coach's philosophy now, and don't be surprised if the older players you won't be seeing them in red ball cricket anymore. We're just going to be focusing on the youth, and I think that's the only explanation for it, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that's fine though. And every coach has his favourite, but ultimately his hands are a little bit forced here now. So he's got three players who potentially would have played this match. Arshdeep, Akash Deep and Reddy, who potentially would have played this. Well, two of them definitely would have played this match. Who are no longer available because of injury. So so is that a little? And I'm going to bash him a little bit here. Is that ego here, where he's not? You've got to be flexible. So Ajinkya Rahane had a chat with the lads from Sky Sports, and he said he's got aspirations of playing red ball cricket. And we all know Jinx is amazing. He served the country very well. He's got what our top order were missing in that final test, the one that we lost at Lords recently, in that ability to dig in. That's what we needed, that grit. And if he was there, I know we talk about other people, it could have been the difference of us kind of maybe, not maybe winning it.
There are a lot of.
But you got to go to Rohit on this.
Yeah, so
he's going to back him. So
yeah, I'm going to back this. See, all these ifs and buts are there because we didn't win the last test match. Like we discussed offline. The margin of defeat was only 22 runs, and that's because our top order did not put the application into their batting. Look how well Bumrah batted. How well the Atel batted. If they put their heart through, if they put their mind through, they can bat. I've seen very often that sometimes they come in, they try to smash every ball. That's the reason what happened first couple of test matches. So again, I'm in the sense that with every team, life goes on. Seniors players come in, they go. I know my favorite Kohli is not there. He should have been there. But
he's your favorite. If our messages from last night got leaked,
but messages weren't. When you put messages, you said Kohli would have won the game. I said no.
I stand by that. Yeah,
exactly. But I don't agree with that. Kohli would have won the game, or his belief would have won the game. Yeah.
Rohit thinks Kohli couldn't have got 22 extra runs.
But then again, KL Rahul couldn't have got extra 22 runs. Pant couldn't get extra 22 runs. Jaiswal couldn't get extra 22 runs. In the pressure situations, things don't work out the way we think. The only thing is what we talked about. It
was the king
offline.
Of pressure.
Yeah, the only thing we talked about was the belief. Everyone is, even Harmis, like you mentioned, Harmis saying that if Kohli was there, his belief would have won that game. I don't agree with that. As a player, he would have won but belief would have won the game. I don't agree with that. So again, the belief would have been for the whole team. The belief was there when we lost against New Zealand 3-0. Right? Belief was there when we lost against Australia after winning the first test match as well at Perth. So, yeah.
Lad, if we had a nickel for every time Rohit mentioned the New Zealand and Australia defeat, we'd be millionaires.
Exactly. I'm going to keep defending the team, saying team is bigger than any individual, right?
So, Rohit, and I agree with that. And but surely though, that's where the true leadership comes into it. So, what he's got Kohli, or all his predecessors before him, have got that ability to kind of cajole and get that extra. That extra mile out of, or extra 1% out of people. These are top level professionals. They're not going to succumb. But in times under pressure, what think people like Ferguson or like Klopp, for example, they were able to make average players perform better because of just their ability to inspire and motivate, and whatever talks they had behind closed doors. I mean, they were just amazing. And as I mentioned before about Fergie time and stuff, the way he approached the last kind of 5 minutes of a game was, okay, we've got 5 minutes. You need to get 2 crosses, every minute, in the box, and then so that's potentially 10 chances we're going to create. One of our strikers, all the attacking midfielders needs to get half on the target, and we're probably going to turn the game from 1-0 down to 2-1 up. It's that ability, and obviously maybe everyone's just focusing on what Kohli said. The last time India won at Lords was giving them overs of hell, and that's where they keep going back to. But I think he had that ability to kind of just from his words or his action or his motivation on the field, just inspire others and just give them the extra 1%, and remember, in elite sport or like in any elite high-performing environment, be it business or support, it's the marginal gains that make the difference between winning and losing. And I know you said we only lost by 22 runs, and I'm not gonna, I just like you guys, I absolutely love Team India, okay, and I back them. And DK, put a video out, I think, on one of his social media channels yesterday, saying that we must applaud the way the lower order batsmen dug in, and we should. And it's not all doom and gloom, but the reality is we lost. In 5 years' time, we're not going to look at, India only lost by 22 runs. The fact is they lost. Mm-hmm. So they lost a match that they shouldn't have lost. It is simple as that. So at the moment, we can say it's only 22 runs, but the reality is history will say we lost the game.
Yeah. Ajay, I'll come back to you on this, but I want to just answer this, right? Guys, remember at Adelaide, when we got all out of 36 runs against Australia, we were all out at 36. Remember the game at Adelaide? 28 I don't know, was when we first won in Australia, and Kohli left the team. And very good reason, because he had a first baby, right? A very good reason he had to leave after the test match. And we won that series with young players. We won that series after that. So this is what I'm coming back into. Who was the coach? Shastri?
Yeah.
Right?
I thought so.
But then again, it doesn't matter. Before Shastri, we won the games as well, right? We won the series in England without Shastri as well. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the belief, So belief comes in, right, when we win, right? Belief will come in when the team learns how to win the game, if a young team wins. So this is why we need to build that up, right? Because if Kohli was there, I'm not saying he wouldn't have had a positive impact, but what I believe is because luck wasn't there with us on that day, little bit, if we had little bit of luck on that day, like we lost the catch, we dropped that catch when England were like 100 something, we gave away extra 100 runs in the first innings. So if the catch was taken, we would have won that game. So Ajay, I want to come to you. What are your thoughts on that?
It must have been the quiet listening to everybody. But okay, so yeah, there's a couple of points I just wanted to just say. Obviously, from what everyone was saying, Rohit, I mean, you make a good point, obviously, with Kohli and the belief in the team. And I think that's obviously quite true. You need to have, experienced players, those that have been through some, tests, that have been through certain situations, let's just say, when, things are not going your way, you have to make a decision like, look, do we change this setting of the field? Do we go more aggressive or do we do this? And these obviously come with experienced players. And obviously, when you look at other teams like Australia, and I know Amit was alluding to this before, where they had a transition period, but they're so cutthroat and they're so clinical and lethal. This is what I think India is just lacking, unfortunately, just at this moment, is that kind of ability at certain points in the test to be ruthless, to be, once you have a wicket, play a more aggressive field, have more slips in, don't let the opposition have a chance to score easy runs, make sure you're bowling clean and tight and keep it within the wicket, within the line, don't give away the extras. Again, these are fine margins in the top, in top tier sport where they make the massive difference. I just wanted to obviously say, I think the team that we've been watching, I think we've said in previous podcast episodes, have gone toe to toe with England. So let's not bash them too much. We like to obviously say, look, where's the experience players and things. But like I said, I think this team is doing well. But my only kind of concern is like, look, what do we look for now in this fourth test? Now, where they're going to go and apply the learnings of the first three tests. They did well in Edgbaston, Headingley the last day, they kind of fell apart effectively. And then again, on the final day of the third test, they kind of fell apart. So where's this self-imploding? Are they going to learn to deal with things under pressure? And also, I'm just going to say that obviously with looking at England, like Amit said, they're not going to have any fear. They're going to go in with this at high confidence. They've got Archer, who's obviously now got his test under him and has a win. He's going to be high on confidence. Joe Root plays exceptionally well at Old Trafford as well, with 19 innings, and he's nearly got 1,000 runs there. So he's averaging around about 60 as well. So he's going to have another shoe-in for maybe a century. I think he probably listened to the podcast last week and thought, wait, these guys are thinking I'm not going to beat Sachin's record. Hang on a minute. Let me show these guys here. So, there's going to be some tough time for India. But I think obviously it just starts off with the coin toss. Let's just hope that they win the coin toss, and then we can see what we need to do first, if we're going to bat or if we're going to bowl. And I think that'll set the precedent. I think we need to go in day one, really head high. I probably would prefer if we put England, if we bat first, to be fair, and we look at bowling England on the fifth day when the weathers might be a little bit on our favour if there is rain, and we can, kind of get this 2-2 result that we need.
So let's talk about the team changes then.
All of this team all depends on whether Rishabh Pant plays as a wicketkeeper and a batsman, or just as a batsman. Now, there's been a lot of talk that he's just going to play as a batsman, which means Jurel will come in as the wicketkeeper. What does that mean for the batting order? What are the options there? I mean, for me, I'm very surprised that
you just don't want to see.
They basically said they basically no. Look, I've been on record and I'll say this. Out of the options we have, I'm not a massive Karan Nair fan, probably because he's a Manchester United fan. But in terms of Karan Nair, I don't think he's the future. But out of what we have, I sound very much like Rohit today. But he's probably the best option that we've got in that squad. So I'd give him another run at number 3. But for me, I'm surprised that Pant is willing to play in the outfield. I mean, if I've got a bruised hand, the last thing I'd want to be doing is in the outfield, potentially taking another blow on a hand when I can be wearing gloves. I also think it disrupts our batting order as well. But from what we're hearing, a lot of the talk is that he will play purely as a batsman and be in the field, which would be surprising for me. And really, because Jurel, he can hold his own, but I think it does disrupt our team and the 11 we go with. Well, I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that as well.
So, Amit, what are your thoughts then? If Pant is injured and Jurel has to play, what other changes would you like to see?
I think the team selection is all over the place. Because of the injuries. As Dheeraj said, again, why would you, if you've got an injured hand, such that you can't do your other job, which is wicket keeping, and you've got protection of a glove, surely you're going to hurt yourself much more in the field. Obviously, I appreciate the percentage of catches if you're right out, towards the boundary is going to be a lot less potentially than if you're behind the keeper and the slips. But still, that's interesting. Honestly,
the thing is,
honestly, for once, I'm actually gobsmacked because I don't know. I think it's not looking good for India.
Do you want your headline?
So bad.
If Pant doesn't keep wicket, for me, he doesn't play. Mad statement. I would not play him as a pure batsman. If he does not keep wicket, for me, it disrupts the batting lineup too much for me. As an explosive player as he can be, I don't play Pant as a pure batsman.
But but Jurel's probably a better keeper than Pant.
The irony of all them extras is that he is the better keeper.
I was actually quite impressed with the way he kept.
He's a good keeper. He is.
He actually kept really well. And the thing is, Pant's record as a batsman in England is actually, overseas anyway, but in England is really good. And I mean, touchdown scored as a number 5 batsman. So so what happens then? We can't have the batsmen that we want, Pant, and then want to have Kuldeep and others as well. So, we haven't got that many players. We probably need them, but, we haven't got that many.
But who bats 3? Because it would be Nair who makes way if Pant plays purely as a batsman and Jurel comes in. It would, if you're sacrificing a batsman, it's not going to be Gill. It's not going to be the openers. Do you then move Gill to 3 and move everybody up 1?
Let's see. Ajay, what are your thoughts on this?
They've got KL Rahul as well, but I think obviously the idea would be that the fact is that Jurel would be the wicket keeper, and I think the thing is, you need Pant for his batting. Like he is explosive. He
Yeah.
is the one that's going to put fear into England. You know, if they're under pressure, he'll whack you for a six if Archer's there. Like, you know, just putting pressure on the team. So we need. I think definitely Pant will be playing. I think he'll be playing maybe as a batsman, like you said, D, and he'll probably just be shift off to like long on or somewhere, or just somewhere that you can kind of just protect the boundary. But other than that, I think the changes wise, I think the main question is obviously just going to be the bowling. Like I said, with the Shardul come in or Krishna, are they going to rechange everything? I don't know. But honestly, it is a bit of a worrying time at the moment. I think the best thing that they need to do, like I said, is just go in with the fact that, okay, look, we're 2-1 down. We need to win this, and that's it. There's nothing much more. Whoever they can select is who they can select at the end of the day. That's it.
Yeah, it's a difficult decision for the management in this test match, unfortunately, due to
this is where they're going to earn the money. Right, this is where Gambhir and the team manager are going to earn their money now. Whether they can kind of cajole and get a team together that's going to be able to kind of compete. And at the end of the day, if we end up losing this match and we compete, you take that on the chin, because no one likes. We don't like to lose, because in sport someone's always got to lose. Unfortunately, you can't have a winner in every match.
We could have a draw, which is a good thing about this team as well.
Yeah, we could have a draw. Yeah, that'd be good, I suppose. Yeah, but I mean, the point is though, as long as they show fight, and this is. I think this match we got to view a little bit different compared to Lords and the other three, because we have because of the injuries that we have got. But I'm going to go back quickly to something you mentioned earlier on about kind of players and getting rejuvenated or having that kind of passion. Doesn't that come from the leadership as well? Because if you're being micromanaged, then you're not going to be able to spread your wings. But if you've got kind of, and I know where Dila just coming when he said who was the coach when India won, in Australia. What he's trying to say, I think, Dila, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that it was Shastri. So Shastri was one of those coaches who led with empowerment rather than micromanaging. So just like that. Like the greats, like managers like Fergie, Klopp, etc. in football, it gives them that extra 1%, gives them wings. They feel better than they are, and they'll go and achieve more than what their skills will do.
I think
realistically, completely right.
You have to give. I think we have to give Gambhir time. Honestly, I think coming from with my United hat on. Amarin loves his 3-4-3 system. A lot of United fans are not happy with it, and he's just so robust about it. He's not going to change. These are probably things with Gambhir as well, where he's just going to have his type of management style. Is it going to be a micromanaging style, or is he going to try and be so hands-on rather than like what Shastri was like? But the thing is, we have to give Gambhir time. The record is not great, but I think he'll hopefully use this next test as a kind of a pivot point to say, look, we're gonna be strong, we're gonna be firm, and we're gonna go out there and, like you said, we're gonna compete against England. But I think
if we lose the series, would you still give Gambhir time?
I think so.
I think he'll have to have time. I think again, there'll be some other series that we play. I think it was quite funny because it's kind of like West Indies at the moment, and they're on a bit of a low as well. They've got a battering by Australia, and I have to admit as well, applaud Australia's bowling. I think they look like one of the most strongest bowling lineups at the moment. I think they've got 5 bowlers within the top 10 in the rankings.
Yeah.
So and their experience as well. Like you've got Pat Cummins and Mitchell Stark. And again, when you talk about like Shami, that's kind of what we would look for, somebody to be an addition in this team who's got that experience, that kind of skill set to kind of change the game. But the West Indies, it was funny, I was watching something and they said, look, they sometimes need to go into tier 2 or they need to play against other teams where they can just beat them. And I think India just need a couple of test matches after this with some teams, maybe like Zimbabwe or something, where we can just kind of go in there and get our confidence up. And maybe that will help Gambhir as well, kind of work out his own mantra and get his record a bit better as well. If we play in England, it's a tough place to come. And, previous coaches have not done well either. So we can't just keep on saying Gambhir's this or, the problem solely lies with Gambhir, because unfortunately we do have a record of not doing so well here. So let's just see.
So guys, you talked about being competitive, right? And it's okay if India team being competitive against England. So what do you guys think in the last test match? How did we play then? Were we being competitive in the last test match?
We were
Not for me.
Competitive. No, I'd say we were competitive. But the problem is we just, like, we alluded to before, we just lost our heads a little bit and we kind of didn't really stick to a kind of game plan or something. We were definitely competitive. I mean, bowling England out of less than 200 and then trying to chase that. And, for any other team, you would think that would be doable. But the competitiveness of it, what we even talked about before, where, we're saying that we've always been on par with England. It's just a case of, obviously, these are things where the coaches and the staff, backroom staff, just got to drill it into the players to say, look, you've got to keep your discipline and you got to think about the situation that you're in. And sometimes if you're just playing freely, you got to be a bit controlled and you've got to kind of think about the situation as opposed to kind of, just playing, let's just say, not very smart cricket.
And one more thing I want to add here, guys. I think the management being responsive, when they replace Krishna with Akash Deep for Edgbaston Test. I know we talk about being micromanaged, but we don't know, how things are going on inside the dressing room. And if he was micromanaged, he would have put Krishna back on for the third test match as well, because if you think he's a favorite player, right? So guys, these things happen. I think I personally think we were competitive. Just small marginal errors we made. That's why we lost the test match. But we were competitive. We took the game till the end. We only lost by 22 runs. I know, Amit, you said no one's going to remember that. But now you just said if we are competitive, we'll be happy, right? But I think any cricket fan you see, doesn't matter how competitive we are, if we lose the test match, lose a game, we always bash the players and the coaching staff. But so guys, I'm gonna stop it here and let's move on with it, because otherwise we will keep talking about this. I want to move quickly to England. Any changes would you like to see? I mean, I know Bashir is out and Dawson is coming in. What do you think, Amit? Would he play the test match?
I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not completely au fait with Connor Dawson and what he brings to the team. But again, if you was Ben Stokes, you've won, you won the last Test match. So why would you change something for the sake of changing it? You're going to Jofra Archer. He's going to be loving it in Manchester. So he's got one potential enforced change with the injury to Bashir. Other than that, I'm sure he's going to keep the same team. He did it after. Pretty much after they lost the second test, obviously he only brought back Archer. So, why change a potentially winning formula? While we're talking in England, I do want to shout out one of our viewers who kindly corrected us on YouTube, because we made Joe Root older than he actually was. So he's actually not 36, he's actually 34. So thank you very much. And please do call us out if we do make mistakes, because we're still early on our journey and we're not perfect. So we will take all forms of feedback, be it positive or constructive, as it's delivered. So based on that, Joe Root's 34. I said in the last podcast, if he was 2 years younger, I think he will exceed Sachin's record of 51. So I'm going to change my, now that we've got his right age confirmed, I think he will exceed Sachin's record of 51 test centuries.
Ajay,
the only other thing that if Ben Stokes is thinking, I don't know whether or not it's between, obviously, with him and Brendan McCullum, but I probably would have to say that the top order batting of England as well, he probably needs to have a look at as well. I don't feel like Ben Duckett or Zach Crawley have kind of showed really, some good form in this test series. So there may be something that they may have a look at. I doubt that they would obviously change. But if I'm being critical, I'm thinking that actually, England's top order have not really kind of performed that well. I think it's all been kind of Joe Root and Smith, the wicketkeeper, who have actually excelled. And I kind of probably I'm going to go on a bet and say, probably Ben Stokes is not going to make many runs this next test, and it's going to come from Joe, from Root and from Smith again. And I think it might be possibly a low-scoring test again, given the conditions, because we've had a lot of rain in Manchester over the last few days. So let's just see what the wicket kind of comes out to. But I think, as Amit said, if Stokes has had a winning formula, a winning team, it's just only Bashir that's going to probably have to obviously make way. But Dheeraj, what do you think? That any changes? Do you think that there's going to be enforced?
Dawson's not played.
Switch it up.
I'm glad you came to me. I thought Roy didn't want it there. So Dawson.
No, I was waiting for Ajay to finish before.
I thought I'll take a little bit of responsibility.
Yeah.
Let me back
No,
in.
no, good.
No, I am still here, Roy.
Yeah.
So
You're very sensitive today, Dheeraj. What's wrong?
Dawson, he's not played since 2017, so he made a successful return to T20 cricket as well, obviously recently. So to be honest, he offers something with the bat. I'm sure Amit's going to be piling through YouTube to watch a couple of our players, and if they are genuine all-rounders, but you can do that research yourself. But no, I think he will come in. I think that'll be the only change. Again, why they're going to change a winning team. So I think it'll just be, for the fourth test, I think it'll just be Dawson in for Bashir, and then obviously I think Mark Wood will come in potentially, depending on how Jofra Archer is for the fifth test. But I think it'll just be, given the break, I think it'll just be Dawson this test.
For me, guys, I know you're not going to ask me, but I'm going to give my opinion. Especially Dheeraj is not going to ask me anyway. So my team, my team. I think for England, I think they won't change apart from Bashir, who's obviously out. I think they may put Gus Atkinson on his place. I don't think they will play the spinner. They may. I don't think, depending on the wicket, they probably go with full fast bowling attack. So let's see. So guys, it's time for the prediction. Okay, Dheeraj said I don't ask him, so I'm going to start with Dheeraj now. So Dheeraj, what is your prediction? What is your prediction?
Look, I'm going to be honest. I'll always try and go with my heart and always give India a chance. So you know what? Look, I think when all the chips are down, India have produced big results in the past. So here's hoping they produce that again. It's going to be difficult. Obviously, given the injuries, and obviously England are on a high and playing with a relatively same team. But yeah, hopefully Gill and KL Rahul in the top order can get back to the form they were in the first couple of Test matches and get us a win. And you know what, Jasprit Bumrah's there, so we've always got to give ourselves a chance. So here's hoping. I'm going to go with India, but I think it's going to be difficult and could be an uphill battle this next Test.
Amit?
My heart will always say India, but my head is saying England this time, unfortunately, because of the history. It's a proper bogey ground, and also the injuries that India have got.
Ajay?
Yeah, unfortunately, I might have to echo what Amit is saying as well. I think, obviously, it's just that weird stat with Bumrah playing. We just don't seem to win when he's playing, so I don't know. And obviously, compound that with the fact that at Old Trafford, we don't seem to win there either. And again, given the injuries, I think I might have to give it to England, unfortunately. I think we're going to be 3-1 down, which is really sad to say, but I think that's what's going to happen.
Rohit, what do you think?
What is wrong?
Let Ajay finish. Yeah.
No, just to say, I think it'll probably be more. If we lose the coin toss as well, I think that's just it. There's the cricketing gods, unfortunately, not with us at this time. So yeah, Rohit, what would you like to say?
Yeah, I think, like I said, when we played Edgbaston, I think we will win. I'll go with Dheeraj. So Dheeraj, I'm with you on this one. So
first time ever. Wow. Mark this in your calendar, guys.
So this will be the show,
okay?
Right?
Go kiss and make up now.
Yeah. So I think my belief, again, talk about important word here, belief, is with Team India. I think we will win the test match. And we will break the record like we broke at Edgbaston, that we never won there. I think we will win this match. So let's hope. 2-2, I think, in our panel. So 2 votes for England, 2 votes for India. Let's see what happens when we review this 4th test match next week. So guys, it's 2-2 with us. What do you guys think? Who will win this test match? Please drop the comments and tell us your prediction. So guys, we end this podcast. It's been brilliant discussing the 4th test with you all. And let's see who wins. But whoever wins, let's hope the test match is as great as it was the last one. You can go to the final session on the final day. So with this, take care, guys, and stay safe. And we will soon be back with new episode. Till then, take care. Bye for now.